Hello my friends, today I want to do something different and discuss the idea of a character that I believe is in desperate need of being changed in Dynasty Warriors. Okay, desperate is maybe a bit extreme, but they were and / are one of my favourites, depending on the game and the costume obviously. That character is Sun Shangxiang. Now I've talked about this a little bit before in previous videos, but I thought I'd do something new and make a full video on it. I think what I'm going to say will probably mirror some of the thoughts of the community, but as of the release of, Dynasty Warriors 6, she is a character that I don't really think that Koei has ever really managed to get correct. At least in my eyes, what she does and how she acts is pretty inconsistent, ranging from not interacting with Liu Bei at all, like in Dynasty Warriors 2 to 4, to having a full-on screaming orgasm over him from Dynasty Warriors 6 onwards. Games like Dynasty Warriors 5 and Dynasty Warriors Next do get this character quite well, but in the grand scale of things, those games are quite old. So old, in fact, that I'm pretty sure my copies are actually fossilised by now. So what exactly is my problem with this character? The main problem with this character in my eyes is Liu Bei. Like I said earlier, in the PS2 games their relationship ranged from non-existent, such as in Dynasty Warriors 1 to Vanilla 4, where unless you read the encyclopedia entries of those games you wouldn't know they were married at all, mainly because those games are only loosely based on Romance of the Three Kingdoms, having characters like Sun Jian survive until Hefei Castle. And impressively, in Dynasty Warriors 4, if you meet Liu Bei as her, there's no voice lines or anything. But good old Guan Yu will get some for approaching Zhang Liao or Xu Huang, which their rivalries are bordering non-existent in that game too. While the main entries in the series are, let's say, faithful to Romance of the Three Kingdoms, unfortunately, although they'll happily omit some stuff from the source material like, Zhu Ron dying at the hands of Zhao Yun during Yiling, Liu Bei eating human flesh, Xiahou Ji being a kidnap and rape victim, and will happily turn her into a totally different character. And that's my point in a way, they don't need to keep to the source material that hard. I mean, there's only so far they can keep taking the series, telling the story to such an extent and keeping so, rigidly to the book. There's some stuff that they're gonna eventually have to change just for, the sake of it. Everyone has a favourite character, and if it was like Zhu Shu in Dynasty Warriors 9, you got pathetically one chapter. I mean, people want to play as these characters as much as possible, and keeping to the source material that much is just sort of taking away from that. I believe the source material does actually take away from the gameplay, in a way. People seem to think having more characters is more important than, actual gameplay in a game when you already have the books. Like, if you really want to read the source material, just fucking read the book. And sorry about that rather unscripted rant, but whatever. So for those of you that don't know, Sun Shangxiang marries Liu Bei as part of a plan to keep Liu Bei allied to Wu and to, keep him in check. Now, this is where the stories diverge. Historically, Sun Shang didn't actually love him, and because women basically didn't have any rights back in those days, she didn't have a choice, to be honest. She didn't love him and chose to be accompanied by 100 armed maidens while she was in Shu, making Liu Bei actually quite fearful of her. And according to Fa Zheng's biography, she was a fierce and tough character, much like her elder brother. She had about 100 female servants, each of them standing on guard and carrying a sword. Every time Liu Bei entered her room, he felt a chill in his heart. As well as this, Sun Shangxiang goes back to Wu while Liu Bei is fighting, later on in the story, and she even tries to capture Liu Shan, which is foiled by Zhao Yun and Zhang Fei. Now this event is one I thought Koei would have scrapped and replaced with the historical situation instead, for numerous reasons. I'll use Dynasty Warriors 9 as an example here, as it's the most recent game and one which I believe would have benefited from this change. Well, presuming they actually put effort into the character stories, but we know how well that went down. So what I think they should have done with Sun Shang is have her be changed into being sort of indifferent to Liu Bei, or even dislike him in a way. Now, in an ideal version of Dynasty Warriors 9, where the game actually has an effort put into it, you could have had her playable in Shu after she marries Liu Bei, but in the open world setting you could do stuff like deliberately undermine the Shu forces by destroying supplies, false messages, etc, etc. Thinking about it, maybe that is a bit malicious, but just be an annoyance to the Shu forces and help Wu, which would kind of fit into the whole theme of the Kingdom of Wu, which is, you know, their bonds, everyone is family, as opposed to Shu's benevolence, and Wei having Cao Cao's ambition and forging a path through the chaos. Not my best impression. Hashtag Cao Cao did nothing wrong. The whole family thing is used sometimes in the games, such as Dynasty Warriors 6 and Dynasty Warriors 9, where she will appear as a shield to protect Liu Bei from killing Sun Shangxiang. Although I do believe in the open world setting you could really have benefited from just, you know, undermining Shu and helping Sun Shangxiang. You could have like cutscenes of them meeting between the borders of Shu and Wu to say, oh, how's it going and all this shit. A bit like a phone call. It's a shame they didn't have text messages back in those days. But, you know, whatever. I would have thought that would have been such a cool idea. It's one of the reasons why I played as Sun Shangxiang in Dynasty Warriors 9. Imagine my disappointment with that story. And the game in general. Another reason I think she should change back, is there's already enough people sucking Liu Bei's cock in these games. Honestly mean it. I do get that some of it is based on the whole Liu Bei is virtuous, so people are drawn to him and love him, but is there really any need for Sun Shang to get involved too? And the part of the story she marries Liu Bei, she's essentially the last in line for the gangbang. There's just so much going on at that point. As soon as they marry, Sun Shang just disappears, and in most cases won't reappear until Yi Ling, to either protect Liu Bei from being killed, which is pretty cringe to be honest, and could be replaced with Zhao Yun in any scenario, or she appears in cutscenes to cry over Guan Yu being killed, someone she never interacts with, and, well, not gonna lie, every time I see those cutscenes it just angers me. I think, why the fuck do you even care? It's just, it's so fucking cringe. So another reason would be to just make her different from the other females in the game, especially the Wu girls. All 4 of the Wu girls at the moment are all over their husbands in this series. Lian Shi, the least out of them. But then her role is more about being Sun Shang's protector, and she's supposed to be the more mature character according to the designer's words, as well as being, you know, emotional support for Sun Shang in tough decisions. The Qiao sisters, on the other hand, have always been all over Sun Ce and Zhou Yu since Dynasty Warriors 4, although it's only really shown in the hidden Qiao sisters stage. Honestly, the levels that those two characters take being all lovey-dovey over Sun Ce and Zhou Yu is approaching extreme cringe in some titles, but I'm okay with that, as that's the whole point of those characters. It's not just limited to the Wu ladies, a character's like the best addition to the series and a real game changer, a character that made the series so much better and added so much lore. Bao Sonyang is the same. I'm joking, obviously, she is so fucking bad, and the whole reason she was added was because Guan Sui was added, and to be honest, he's one of the most pointless additions to this series, as proven by him being the least popular character in the most recent character poll, having even less votes than a mass murdering bastard like Dong Zhuo. But back to the main point, Bao Sonyang is joined to Guan Sui at the hip. Then you have characters like Zhenji, Wang Yuanji, Zhang Chunhua, Yue Ying and Zhu Rong, and to a lesser degree Xing Sai, although it's never really said she's married to Lu Shan, but whatever, which all have something to do with their husbands but aren't always trying to jump into their arms every 5 seconds. I suppose they're used more as characters to keep them in line, especially Yuanji and Zhu Rong, who in some cases are the more active fighters of the marriage. For completion's sake, finally have girls with generics for husbands or aren't in the game at all, or it's never really stated that they're, you know, linked by the arms to a man, and they are obviously Sun Shangxiang, Lu Lingqi, Sai Wenji, Wang Yi and Guan Yingping, as well as the newest addition, Dong Bai. Diao Chan is a bit of a unique case which I'll talk about in another time. Now I brought up what the female characters are like to show and explain that across all the kingdoms there's at least some variety in them, while Wu, all the girls are kind of the same in what they do and how they act. Now what I'm saying is, I like Sun Shangxiang to fulfill a more interesting role. Let's remember that in the old games she used to do cool shit, In the best stage in Dynasty Warriors 4, she'd become the commander after Papa Jian and her brothers die.
What my father and brother began, I will continue.
As well as several stages, she'd become the commander instead of the default, with unique dialogue.
Lu Meng, you're in charge for this one. Good luck. Lu Shan, I'm placing you in charge here. When they surrender, I want them to mean it. Zhou Yu, I'm leaving you in charge. Everybody, do as Zhou Yu commands.
Now look at her, she's just someone for Liu Bei to fire his load into, and that's pretty disappointing. Dynasty Warriors 9 had the best chance to really change how character stories worked, and for me, Sun Shangxiang was one of the characters they could have made the most of it, like I said earlier. The other characters being Zhu Shu, and to a lesser degree Chen Gong, Lu Lingqi and Diao Chan, who they kind of did a few things with here and there, but whatever. Another reason, something else I'd just like to bring up is people were saying they need to add Sun Jian's wife into these games. Like, you really think they need another character that's all over their husband just repeatedly? That's the fucking dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, I'm probably going to make another video on this sometime, and this is another unscripted rant, but they just need to stop adding characters. There's so much overlap with a couple of characters now. I think, well, the Chiao sisters, for a start, are basically the same fucking character, except one of them is a bit more cringy than the other. It just doesn't help at all. I just can't believe people, oh, Sun Jian's wife needs to be added. Yeah, because, you know, that's what we need. We need another fucking arm clinger, don't we? Good one. Fucking morons. Overall, I'd like Sun Shangxiang to be a character that supports her family, one that marries Liu Bei as a bit of a sacrifice for her brother and for her kingdom. Since Dynasty Warriors 6, she's always been a character that has a really strong start in the story, especially Dynasty Warriors 7, where the whole family fights together. She was a character that lives up to her line, who says a woman has to be weak? As soon as the Battle of Chibi rolls around, she's reduced down to, let me lay on my back and spread my legs for you, Liu Bei. It's kind of sad, really. Probably even sadder is the fact that what I reduced that character down to is that phrase. Going back to the whole people wanting to add Sun Jian's wife shit, Koei can just make Sun Shang be the person that ties the family together, as she's alive when both Sun Jian and Sun Ce die, meaning she's support for the surviving family members, and even she has a supporting character in the form of Lian Shi, who was actually better with the crossbow, by the way, but that's a topic for another time. It's weird that she's portrayed as a fighter in these games, but weirdly throws that all away at the first chance, with a guy that cried that his thighs were too fat from not riding a horse for several years in the book. Actually, no, sorry, historically. What an absolute pussy. So what I'm saying essentially is Sun Shang should wear the trousers in that relationship. There we go, that is my thoughts on Sun Shangxiang. I do recognise that the majority of the problem with this character is due to the series focusing more and more on the story, starting from Dynasty Warriors 5, which is where the Sun Shang-Liu Bei relationship was told for the first time in a main Dynasty Warriors game. I think that's why I prefer her in Warriors Archery, to be honest, where she doesn't have much to do with Liu Bei really, and she does cool shit. Now thinking about it, it's one of the reasons why Kai is my favourite Samurai Warriors character, as she reminds me of Sun Shangxiang when she did cool shit. I still like her to revert back to being indifferent to him, and Dynasty Warriors 9 had the prime chance to do that. Guess we'll have to wait until Dynasty Warriors 10, or when somebody who gives a shit about the series takes over. There we go, let me know what you think about this character and what you'd change about her, or if you wouldn't, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.